What do you consider a wasted life to be? Write in the comments what you think about it. What do you consider a wasted life? Enjoy the show. Story 1. People who live life with a mindset of, if I suffer now, I'm gonna have it good later. I'm having children at 20, so when I'm older, they're already grown, and I have my peace. Waiting over 18 years to have your peace, and turning bitter and resenting your children. I'm studying every day now so I can make money, and when I'm older, I'll have my peace. No friends, no hobbies, no life outside studies/work. Just live in the moment. It could be your last day and you wouldn't have anything nice to look back on. And BTW, this later will never come. Maybe when you're old and can retire, but then you'll be too old and your entire life was wasted on waiting. Story 2. In my opinion, a life full of regrets is one that is wasted. It doesn't matter if what you regret of is bad or good, since good and bad is something dictated in your own mind. But if you have more regrets than you can count, it's a wasted life. Life without regrets can't exist, as no one is perfect and people are bound to make mistakes. But the least regrets you have, the more you lived your life to the fullest. Story 3. A wasted life is when you don't make any efforts to be successful or self-improve. Allowing yourself to just rot away in bad habits and laziness will be your absolute biggest regret when you're on your deathbed. You have one life. Do not use it wasting away in your home when there are plenty of productive and fun things to do with your time. A wasted life is laziness to do anything. Story 4. No life is wasted in my personal opinion. Everyone has done so many deeds in their life directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly. All these actions have led to some small as well as huge events. So if a person has contributed even a bit, then I don't consider calling that life waste. For example, if a baby is born, and due to unfortunate circumstances it passes away just a day after, it still has an impact on the parent's mind which somehow contributes to the deeds that they do later on. So the baby's life, even if short-spanned, can't be considered waste. Similar example could be a person turned into a hero while dealing with a criminal. Guys, spare me if I am spewing nonsense, I am half asleep. Story 5. Someone who doesn't get the opportunities they deserve based on merit. We have to end legacy college admissions and make higher education affordable again. Our best and brightest are most likely blocked from the education they need to reach their full potential because the rich are hoarding a big chunk of the open slots at our best schools. Story 6. Working so hard their entire lives and delaying gratification for so long that when it came time to retire and relax, they couldn't. They had a pension, substantial savings, no debts, and could have gone anywhere and done anything. Instead, they chose to take another job. They lived too cautiously, too fearful of the unknown, never taking chances, even small ones. They grew up in poverty and could never shake those habits. Save everything, spend nothing, always make sure you have a meal for tomorrow. Sacrifice now for the promises of later, not realizing that later might not come. You're still allowed to invent your own life's meaning. Don't make the mistake of deciding on one of work. If you can be free of your labor and get to see what life has to offer, I think you'll be better for it. Story 7. A life that's dictated by other people's opinions, which I feel many people suffer from, but I hope everyone could break free of it. Living the way other people want you to the point where you don't even know how you want to live. Not taking chances out of fear and comfort in the mundane. Charles Bukowski's poem, The Laughing Heart, is what I try to live by nowadays. Changed my life for the better. Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. Be on the watch. There are ways out. There is a light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. Be on the watch. The gods will offer you chances. Know them. Take them. You can't beat death. But you can beat death in life sometimes, and the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. The gods wait to delight in you. Story 8. Wasted potential of any kind. My parents were broke and couldn't afford violin lessons. My music teacher at school felt bad and gave me free lessons for a month after school. She even offered my parents a mega discounted price too, and they still weren't able to afford. I was really good. I could have been a successful musician now, but I couldn't because of my broke parents. Story 9. Any life that does not align with reality. One that not only refuses the reality but spreads the delusion through violence, power, tyranny, and mandatory proselytizing. One where thinking is looked down upon. One where all the tests for that particular way unsurprisingly pass as a valid way to life. The best way even. One where any objection has origins from the big evil who is trying to deceive and pull you away, whilst somehow also ruling the world. One where your own morals are constantly called into question, but the one you should look up to apparently can do whatever they want, even killing women, children, and babies, and keeps the labels of love, justice, good, and holy. But thankfully the majority of the world isn't under such a delusion, right? We stick to the facts, right? Good thing we aren't wasting our lives for some unverifiable until after death promise made thousands of years ago. Good thing we aren't forcing the delusions down on our kids and in schools, and instead teaching them to be aware, verify, and think about the information they are provided with. Story 10. Wasted life. Being unhappy, because in some point in life, people decide to follow social norms even if they have no relation with personal happiness. For example, most people I know with kids and married are miserable. People waste their lives when they try to please others instead of themselves. And no one ever told me that. I'm single, without kids, don't care about money and status, could have chased a PhD after the master. But again, most people I know with PhDs are unhappy or seem tired all the time. And 99% of didn't get a teaching position or job raise and just wasted money. Time has no value. Live your life the way you want. That way you won't waste it. Learn with your mistakes. Thrive to be a better person, and you will feel that no time is really wasted. Story 11. Working endlessly. I used to work in a really big company. 90-plus-hour weeks were the norm, and everyone wound up divorced, obsessed with material gains, stressed, in therapy, and generally miserable. And that was actually taken as a sign of success. It's important to be mindful of what will actually make you contented with your life, and not just follow what others are striving for. That's particularly difficult if you're competitive and desire success, as I do. But my life now is much more rewarding. I'm in a public service job. And because I'm contented, I'm more motivated, high-performing at work, happier in my personal life, and paradoxically more financially successful. Assuming you can get to a baseline of affording the necessities, rent, groceries, etc., it's key to prioritize your time and enjoy yourself a bit. Time is the one resource that we all eventually run out of. Story 12. The 9. 5 days a week work grind just for a little bit of money to exist on. I don't want to exist, I want to live. I want to travel and see the world and meet new people all over the world. I want to paint and listen to music and sing. I want to try new foods and perfect the cheeseburger. I don't want to work till 67, if I even make it that long, just to spend the last few years of my life broken and aching in a chair, unable to go out for a hike in the woods. Live your life every day because it's precious, and you never know when it will end. You matter. Story 13. Still stuck in the past like I am right now. A relationship that I ended stupidly 3 years ago is still affecting my life because the other person is doing fantastic, and I'm just not. Therapy is helping, but holy fuck. My social anxiety has gotten worse, and I'm just isolating myself. No friends, family states away. Working in summer is killing any energy to do anything else. Thank God I have my cat. And dating these days is an effort in patience and futility, it seems. So, yeah, don't do what I'm doing. Ended the best relationship I had a couple months after I turned 30, and now at 33 I feel worse than I ever have been. Story 14. Yeah, I don't mean to offend anyone just sharing my view, but I used to be a heavy Christian. I hated it. I hated that I wasn't allowed to fully question the implications of a Christian worldview without sounding like I was against God. I hated that I had to turn off my critical thinking just to make the book of Genesis make sense. But maybe most of all, I disliked the culture I grew up in where I wasn't allowed to express my emotions fully. Anger. Because it was considered sinful apparently, and every time I felt cheated, I wasn't allowed to feel anything because it was my duty to do nothing by giving it to God. I hated that I wasn't allowed to be around women my age or date them, only court them. And heaven forbid I hold hands because God had a telescope honed in on my genitalia apparently, and would fly in a rage anytime it did something sinful. Going to church and subjecting myself to all those burdens, trying to label off any critical thinking as heretical so I would stay docile in Christ. What a waste of a life. I love science and I just don't see how God can exist. There's no agreement about what God even is supposed to be, but there's universal agreement on basic scientific formulas that make up our world. I'm glad I no longer believe. Story 15. I'd say someone who lived their life according to what other people wanted them to do, instead of doing what they choose to do, has wasted their life. It's an easy way to live life without really taking responsibility for yourself. It's one thing to consider to advice of others, But to live your life by their decisions, even though you secretly disagree, is to hand over the reins of your life to someone else. This doesn't allow you to truly experience life. You have to personally have a stake in the ups and downs of life, to experience the results of both the good and bad decisions you've made for yourself. If you really want to understand what it is to live the life of a human being, to thine own self be true. Story 16. Not realizing that it's a one-time thing, this life, and not taking advantage of the joys it can bring. It's easy to fall into this need house, need money, need fun mentality, and not see that it's all a made-up thing by society. A society that could have been different depending on the people before us. So we're all just playing house until we cease to be. I'd say, enjoy the little moments, BC little moments make up this thing we're in, life. Story 17. Those poor 50-something YO women who don't have any ambition, hobby, studies, sometimes not even job left, and they're just stuck at home all day cooking meals and cleaning up after their lazy husbands. Bonus points if they're boy moms, equally obsessed over babying their male grown-up kid and their husband. Y'all might say this is too specific, but I know plenty of people like that, and those women look so miserable and too aged for their real age. Story 18. 6. Out of 8 members of my family have wasted at least 1/7 of their time on earth because they refuse to leave the Catholic cult church. I cannot fathom why they continue, especially after each separately had their own day of reckoning, broke completely away, only to swing back again. I am the only family member without a college degree, dumbest, but still managed my own business, and now a nice retirement, while they are all medical professionals who seem to live in eternal chaos. Every one of them are overachievers as far as involving themselves in the church, and not just on Sunday. Then they all complain how they just don't have the time to get the important things done. Story 19. A life where on your deathbed, you asked what if it's perfectly legal to do. Obviously don't be like, what if I murdered this guy, that's stupid. And you want to do it, go do it. Buy a fishing license, go take a trip to a cabin, go ask out that friend that you've had feelings for, go hiking. But also, what if I made more time for myself and family? Don't be focused on the past. There's absolutely nothing you can do to change it once it's happened. When my grandpa was about to die, I asked him, "Do you have any piece of advice for me going on?" He replied, "Just go out and do it." I was confused for the longest time by what he meant. What does he want me to go out and do? I figured out that he didn't want me to go out and do something for him. He wanted me to go out and do it for myself. When at death's door, you don't want to focus on what would have happened if you did that. Don't wonder what'll happen. Find out. Genuinely hope the people here struggling with addiction, depression, anxiety, relapse, depression, etc. get better and can find themselves in a better place where they enjoy being here. I love y'all. Story 20. Never taking the chance, trying something new, or learning a new way to do something. Overcomplicating everything instead of simplifying. Not learning from mistakes over time or having the goal to. And most of all, not smiling at least once a week. Trying to find something to smile and or laugh about at least once a week is a goal I have. When I'm in high spirits, I shoot for every day. But we're humans, not robots. So sometimes the bare minimum will do everything you need. Story 21. It really my own, but I sure did piss away my 20s. Now I'm 40 and still paying for it. Literally. If there are any young people reading this, do not piss away your 20s. Save your money. Start that 401k. Say no to those nights out when you don't really have the money. Do your research before you dive headfirst into a student loan. Your 30-year-old self will thank you greatly. Your older self will still want to get out and have fun too. Trust me. Story 22. So my grandfather grew up in wealth, had old money, moved to America and got a regular job and a farmer wife. His wealth grew due to stock market's investments, but he lived scared financially. He would not invest in businesses, real estate, or anything except for conservative stocks. He could have been a billionaire but lived a middle-class life, which isn't the problem. The problem is, he lived scared. Instead of taking vacations all across the world, they went to Las Vegas. Never to gamble, just look around. They wouldn't even go to shows because it cost too much money. And tracked finances like crazy. They would do crazy stuff to save money when they never had to save money. I'm talking extreme behavior. Stealing hot sauce and barbecue sauces and ketchup from restaurants. Taking napkins from restaurants and salt packets to use at home. I'm talking literal multimillionaires that had millions of dollars since the 60s. Story 23. Treating life as a competition. Who has the most money? who has the better relationships, who is the most popular, who has the highest titles, who is the most successful, etc. And spending your time comparing yourself to others. Truth is, no one is going to remember your name. Your name will be forgotten a few generations down the line. I had a life trajectory-altering event where I almost lost my life, and that put a lot of things in perspective for me. I was ignoring the people and things that were most valuable in my life on a reckless pursuit of trying to climb a ladder that would eventually lead to severe burnout, a load of cynicism, and quite frankly, being miserable and alone. So, nowhere. I also realized throughout life that remarkable people come from everywhere and anywhere. Your upbringing, your education, your status in society and academia, your career, etc., really doesn't define your capability to make a long-lasting positive impact in the lives and community around you. You just have to redefine that term outside of the world's view of what that means. That is, you don't have to be a world-class surgeon to save lives. You don't have to be a top-tier lawyer to fight for justice. Some of the most influential people in my life, and the lives of countless others, hold humble positions, yet have the wisdom, dedication, and passion to serve others, not just themselves in a wild goose chase to be seen as better or smarter or prettier or wealthier. I'll get off my soapbox now, but in summary, a wasted life is one that lacks this awareness. Edit. I'm not saying to give up on your ambitions by any means. All I'm saying is that if you don't have those ambitions, or even if you achieve those and still feel like you're not good enough, you're absolutely still incredible and invaluable. Story 24, my father-in-law. He's 74, and the only thing he has to his name is a massive collection of DVDs he's copied from ones he borrows from the library. He has somewhere north of 7,000. He's chased everyone out of his life. The last family member in contact with him just cut ties. He's emotionally abusive and manipulative, and has spent his entire life turning himself into a victim and an invalid, so that other people will take care of him. He has no friends, and his only social interactions are on obscure niche forums he keeps getting banned from for just being an angry right-wing troll. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it, be sure to write comments, and share your stories.